At 7:30. The Inland Wetlands Agency. First item on the agenda this evening is a show cause hearing. 11 Jeremy Garden Lane, cease and desist regarding work without a permit in an upland review area. The property owner involved in this matter has submitted an application for the work in response to the cease and desist order. So we'll open the hearing and keep it open. Albeit we'll continue it until next month. Unless is there anyone here in connection with that matter? Okay. What we'll do in the meantime is schedule a site visit for the property. We don't need to have Bob look at this, do you? I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. But members of the agency should take a look at it. So later on in the meeting, we'll figure out when the best time for site visits are between now and our next meeting. So basically, the hearing is open. The hearing will be continued until next month, and it'll be heard in connection with the application for legitimizing the work or modifying the work that was done on the property. Moving on, we have one item to add to the agenda this evening. It's an application that came in today. It's for 61 Rimmon Road. Application for repairs to existing bridge deck for residents. This came in after the agenda was created, so therefore we need to add it to the agenda. If there's Sharon moved, we have a second. David second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. So that's added to the agenda. We'll deal with that a little bit later in the meeting when it comes up on our list of things under new business. Moving on. Next item. 531 Amity Road, application for transfer of permit for residential site development of lot. This is an existing permit. The holder of the permit is selling the property and has requested that we transfer the permit to the prospective owner. In connection with that application, we did get a letter from an adjoining property owner who, at 533 Amity Road, was concerned about the fact that we have soil and erosion controls be put in place. The concern, and that there'd be no adverse impact to his property during the course of construction and thereafter. Where the conditions of the transfer of the permit are such that soil erosion controls will be in place per the original plans. Is that correct, Terry?
Yes.
The original permit required various soil and erosion control measures, and those are transferred to the new new owner of the property when the permit is transferred to that person. Let me just check one thing. As you can see, we have a number of maps from the.
Mr. Chairman, I do believe that that while the neighbors' concerns are worth noting, that our approvals always contain a demonstration of the sediment and soil erosion control plan. We do bond for that. Mm-hmm. We do inspect that. And his concern about the driveway, I believe the driveway has been designed to achieve just exactly what he's concerned about.
Right. And not only are the soil and erosion controls as put forth on the plan required, to the extent that circumstances change, we have the catch-all phrase in there that allow you to require additional soil and erosion control protections in the event that site conditions require it. So I think those issues are addressed in the current permit, and
I don't think it could be more important, by the way. But I think that in this particular case, this is an engineered plan, and I think it's both proposed and reviewed. But
right, yeah, we had our consultant review it at the time of the application also.
Right.
So anyway, unless someone has any discussion, this is one of our more ministerial type of functions where We just have to authorize the transfer of the permit. So do we have a motion to authorize the permit subject to existing conditions in the permit?
So moved.
David
Second.
Bixler moves, Sharon seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, 5-0 approved. Okay. Excuse me. Next item on the agenda, Robert and Maria Messina, 18 and 19 Diana Drive application for transfer of permit for residential site development lots, and the application for modification of site plans. Let's see. Yeah.
I'm going to recuse myself from this one. I live on Diana Drive to
Okay.
avoid any possible conflict of interest.
Okay, so Jen will be seated for Barry on this application. Just okay, similar to the last matter, this is a request for a transfer of the permit to a new owner of the property. The only thing that differs this from the previous matter is that they're looking to modify the permit also. So that basically it's a two-step process. I thought you had something to say. So I guess we could deal with it. Terry, what do you think? Should we approve the transfer and then deal with the modification after Bob reviews it, or what's the?
I would certainly, encourage you to approve the transfer because it's pretty routine. And to the extent that the changes are different from what the approved is, perhaps it would be useful for the commission to understand what the changes were.
Right. Is there anyone here on that application?
I can be if you'd like, for the record, jump over and see. I'm the one who drew up the plan. If I was under the impression you were just receiving this tonight, there is one minor note in the minutes. I think he did drop the checks off yesterday. The change in the plan, the septic system is exactly the same as what was written. Let me back up a second.
Let me back up a little bit more before that. Just ask a question. Is the purchase of the property contingent on modifying the plans?
They bought pieces. They bought both pieces.
Oh, it's already.
Dr. Messina and his wife bought both pieces.
Okay.
The intent was really to build on both pieces. Mm-hmm. You combine them and build on them. Mm-hmm. And that fell apart because of a bank financing issue. So they're only building on one piece, and the front part is going to stay undeveloped. That's the intent.
Okay.
The house that the development that's shown is essentially in the same places as was originally approved. That being said, the driveway is a little bit bigger. It's about 15 or 20% larger because there's now a circle in front. The house itself is about 10% larger, and they now have a proposal so that if they ever want in the future to install some kind of a small pool and a flagstone patio in back, we include that as part of the application process so they wouldn't have to come back as a modification. They may or may not do that. If it would help the commission, what I can do is just do a color overlay and just send it over. But for the most part, it's in exactly the same place that it was originally approved. I think the clearing limits are essentially the same. Mm-hmm. It's outside the regulated area for the most part. The septic system's in the same place, just albeit a little bit larger because it's now a 5-bedroom. But again, it went lateral, it didn't go closer to the wetlands. So, like I said, for all intents and purposes, it's essentially what was approved the last time. And for ease of review, I'll have somebody slap together a color overlay and send it off tomorrow.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, I think
that would be very helpful.
Yeah. So we.
And I apologize for not doing it.
Oh no. What we could do is we can continue this to next month. We'll talk about. Do people want to go back out there and take a look at this, or do we want to just look at it from the plan standpoint?
I could look at it from the plans. But
we approve a small dwelling and it gets to be larger. So I haven't seen the difference between the clearing limits, for example, taking his testimony, but more clearing means more stormwater and runoff to account for.
Yeah. Probably makes sense for us to run it by Bob, because my only concern is that we have a July meeting but no August meeting, and then we're talking about September. I don't want to hold it up too long.
So we're trying to extinguish any issues.
Yeah,
and there's increased driveway impervious.
yeah. So we'll just try to impress upon Bob that we need some response by in a couple weeks rather than 5 weeks from now, so that
Day of the meeting.
so that we don't have
Everybody works on a deadline.
I know.
but and that way we don't lose the month again. So we'll open a discussion. If you really want to go back out there, we can. But once we have the overlay, it'll probably give us a better idea.
You'll have that tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll have Bill put Jim one together, and we'll get it down to Terry tomorrow.
And can you communicate that to Bob as well, by the way, directly,
Chris
Yes.
Hall,
with a copy to us?
I
Yes.
think that the overlay would be better for me than being there and looking at it.
Yeah, it'll probably give us a better idea.
Can
of what
everybody
the
read color PDFs?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll PDF it to Terry, and Terry can distribute it.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe what we'll do is tentatively put it on a site visit schedule. After we get the PDFs, we could decide whether we really want to go on a site visit to this, based on looking at it, if that's okay. Again, thinking about our summer schedule, it's we lose a month, so.
I'm just thrilled they're only building on.
Yeah.
Well, Terry, that's
One
my
of the
question.
properties.
If they only build on one, does that preclude the chance to build on the other?
Is that?
It does not. So it's just at this moment. So the fact that they're creating more impervious surface, we shouldn't think that it's because they're only using one of two lots, because later on they could use the other lot.
Correct.
Are they intending on removing any property lines?
They can't. That's the problem. It's the bank. They're probably going to be further from it. What happened was they were intending to. We actually had a lot line revision plan done, and all of a sudden they got a phone call that there's now because the bank is buying two lots.
Yeah, the bank
and I
rent on
paid
2
one
lots.
lot,
And
and
so you lose $150,000.
there goes the
of value,
financing
yeah.
right down the toilet. So for the purposes of this, and so Sharon's 100% correct. It does not preclude you.
Yeah. So we have to look at this in isolation.
Yes,
really.
that's fine.
Okay. All right.
So
we understand that.
Motion to approve the transfer or not?
Why don't we wait on the transfer? We might as well just wait and do the transfer and the modification at the same time, since they already bought the thing anyway. So, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, I don't think the modification. It's just a formality. I mean, we haven't approved. We have a letter from the Fasanos, from Len Fasano, who's the executor of the state. So, and we have a letter from Dr. Messina asking for it. So, I mean, you want to just get that off the plate? That's fine.
You know what? Yeah. Why don't we? I'm thinking it through. Why don't we just do the? I'm surprised the bank didn't want to have it, or maybe they need it for that. They'll need it for the financing is already in place. You said.
I have no clue.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't try
Yeah,
on that.
why don't we do it? Why don't we approve the transfer of the permit and continue the application with respect to the modification of the permit? So.
Sure, because we expected to do that.
I'll move to do that.
Okay, Sharon moved.
I'll second.
Dave seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. All right, 5-0. So the transfer of the permit's approved, subject to conditions in the original permit. The application
Both 18 and 19.
18 and 19, yeah, and the application to modify. Is this 19 that we're talking about modifying, or
Yes.
19? Okay. And so the application to modify 19 will be continued until next month. So, and John, if you could get us, that color change,
That will
then
get
we
here
could
tomorrow morning.
we could talk outside
Yeah.
the meeting about that. Okay, thanks.
I'll copy Bob and then copy you.
Okay. All right. Just make some notes here. Okay, next down on the agenda, 78 Beecher Road application for dredging of on-site pond. Anyone here on that? If you want to just come on up, sign in, and state your name, Mr. Suttle.
I'm John Suttle.
We've been to your property before,
Yes.
at least once. I
Yeah.
remember. So when you did the porch
This
most
is
recently.
nothing more than it's filled in since the last time we dug it out, so we're just going to
Dig
have
it out
Greer come,
again.
dig it out again, and he hauls it off.
Yeah. Now, perimeter of the pond's going to remain the same.
Yep.
Is that the plan? Okay.
Same as it was, and I've got a photo from 1924. And
Yeah, I think we had that last time too.
Yes,
when we
right.
saw that. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
kept the same perimeter. And if I remember from the application, all the dredge material is going off-site.
Yes,
Is there? Oh, let me just grab the phone.
no, he just put it on a truck and hauled it right off last time. We
Didn't dewater it there?
didn't even
Oh, really? Okay.
This Mr. Grieger.
Grigger, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What's everybody's thought on this? We can't approve it tonight because it's working in wetlands, so we'd have to approve it next month or consider
Well,
it
it's
for
not the
approval
right
next
time
month.
to do it yet, anyway, right?
Yeah, it's probably dry up a little bit more.
Yeah,
in the
it's
summer.
probably going to be September.
Okay.
It dries up when the rain stop.
Yeah.
So.
Terry, what do you think?
Can we delegate it?
Well, no, we can't delegate it, but I guess let me just check one other thing here. Without like a formal plan, I mean, can we just word the approval, maintain existing, perimeter of pond, and all dredge material be immediately taken off site? Because I don't want to go through extra, put the applicant through extra work here to draw up something. So
I think we can do this by condition.
okay.
We'd want to see the truck that hauls it being, watertight so that we don't drip it down Beecher Road. But that's possible. So I think that's a condition that can be achieved.
Okay.
Last time we had the plan for the fence and the bale, and he just decided it was just so much easier to just throw it right on the truck. So
Yeah. All right.
It may not be too wet either.
Pardon me?
It may not be too
by
wet.
Yeah,
then, yes, by the time he's down there,
Yeah.
I can mow it.
I mean, do we need to go out and see it, or a bunch of us have been there to the property a couple times over the last 10 years for the addition or the porch, and then for the
Right.
previous pond dredging. So, I don't know. Do people want to see it, or you can almost see it from the road?
Yes, pull into the
Yeah,
driveway and you get this look right over the rock wall.
Nothing
That's not a bad
substantial
idea.
has changed.
Yeah.
It hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, feel free between now and next month. We won't make it a formal site visit. If you really want to take a look at it, I drive by there enough, and I remember what it was like last time we did it. And as long as we're maintaining the perimeter of the pond and everything's going off-site, I don't really see any need to make it a big deal, unless somebody else has anything
We write
else.
conditions that Terry sees it, has a look at it and sees the
Yeah,
amount of disturbance is similar to the 1924 picture or something, reference point.
right. And Terry would,
We find these pre-construction meetings and pond dredging to be very useful.
Yeah, pre-construction, then
Okay.
after completion, just to review it and subject to your discretion. So, okay, so that's the way we'll proceed. Like I said, we can't decide tonight.
Right.
We'll deal with it in July.
It's not a hurry because we've got it'll be September.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we miss our August meeting, though,
Right,
so I
yeah.
just want to be sure you
Yes,
get it in
thank you.
before the fall. So, all right then. So we'll continue this matter until July. To be honest with you, unless somebody has any concerns, you probably don't even have to come in July, unless you don't have anything better to do that night. Chris will communicate with you if there's any concerns that anybody has that based on looking
It's
at
exactly what we did the last time,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
except there's less fill in there.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. Then we'll just continue the next month. Then. Okay. All right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Next item on our agenda is the 11 Jeremy Garden Lane application for site work and patio and upland review area. Again, that was the topic of our cease and desist order hearing. Has Bob seen the plans yet, or got anything?
Jeremy Garden?
Yeah.
No.
Do we think we need to have him do it, or?
Not in my view.
Okay.
There's a space between the house and the existing pond. The ground slopes up from the house up to the pond. It's counterintuitive, frankly. There's a reverse pitch. The property owner took down some trees there's some in the application. There's some photographs of some trees that he considered dangerous close to the house. He took down a couple more trees after that, and we'll leave him. He's not able to make it here this evening, but if you receive his application, he is scheduled to be here at our next meeting to discuss it. And his goal is to do some gardening in one area, and his other goal is to provide a patio area between the house and the pond, not right at the pond, but somewhere in between the house and the pond, as shown on the plan that he submitted to us. And he's prepared to provide a buffer.
Okay. Probably makes sense to do a site visit on this.
I think a site visit is very, will
give us the orientation we need on the
exactly
matter. So, okay. All right then. It's, we'll continue this until next month, and we'll plan on a site visit for this. We just have to figure out when we want to go, but let's get through the rest of the agenda first, and then we can see how many site visits we have to deal with. So, continue. Okay, next item on the agenda, 33 Woodside Drive. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. One other thing. The 61 Rimmon Road application. Our property abuts there, so I'm going to recuse myself from that. So either Jack or David or somebody can take over, and we're just receiving the application tonight. So. Yours, Jack.
You're here to represent the 61 Rimmon Road?
Yes.
Sign in and tell us what you plan to do.
Good evening. My name is Jason Dismukes. I'm a civil engineer for the place of business at 241 Torrington Road in the town of Goshen. And I'm here on behalf of Donna Commune of 61 Rimmon Road. She has an existing timber bridge on her driveway that's in pretty bad condition. There are a couple steel beams that are underneath it, but overall the superstructure is not in very good shape. The concrete abutments are in pretty good condition. So what we're proposing is to take the existing bridge deck off and put a new, basically it's a pre-engineered timber, glue laminated bridge deck that's highway rated. So this can meet the structural requirements for oil delivery trucks, fire and rescue. In fact, these bridges are on town roads throughout Connecticut. There's no work proposed in the watercourse, so it's basically just a deck replacement and crash-tested railings. Her existing bridge has very inadequate railings along the sides, and that's basically the project.
Terry?
In my opinion, this is a simple request, because of your testimony is that the abutments require no work, no change, correct?
Right, correct.
There's no reason to be in the water for any purpose.
Well, let me back that up. What we are doing is we're adding a steel angle iron to the face of the abutment to give us a little bit wider bridge seat. So right now there's 5 inches of bridge seat, and that's plenty for bearing, but it's not enough to drill into and attach the actual deck to. So what we are going to do is drill into the face of the abutment and mount an angle iron on to make the bridge seat a little bit wider and give us something to actually bolt the bridge deck to.
So you'd be drilling this angle iron into the existing concrete.
That's correct.
And
Yeah.
would you be doing that from the top or from the water?
Well, it depends. The contractor, they may get in the water standing. They're not going to have any kind of machinery in the water. They may set up some temporary just staging to stand on, so they're not standing in the water. But that's the extent of it.
This is very similar to the structural repair that we did at the, if you remember, at the Brookside Market, where the building was actually built over the thing. The concrete deck of the building failed, we were able to issue a permit for that without a review by Bob, and it takes a bit of activity on the part of your enforcement officer to make sure that we can understand the contractor and his means and methods.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think this is a fairly routine method and not very risky to wetlands.
And because it goes over a water course, are we allowed to delegate this or not?
I don't think you can delegate it. I think you have to take an action on it.
So we would have to wait till next month?
Well, how timely is this? How bad is this bridge?
It's been it's bad. It needs to be replaced. If you go take a look at the timber along the side of it, it's pretty eaten up. My concern is, you have a larger vehicle come into the site, and they're off to one side a little bit. All you need is to drop a tire off the side, and you could lose a truck in the brook.
So, what we can't do is issue one that is in the water, in the wetlands. If it's over, and if we can convince them that it's easier to drill this thing from the top, and after I get through explaining it to them, I suspect that they'll come to that conclusion. You can authorize it, in my opinion. It's timely. This is a matter of public safety. This is a matter of, one little oil truck in that.
Would be much worse.
Right.
Have you
So
seen it recently? Or?
I haven't.
I have a question. Will there be foliage and disturbed area where you put the deck before you put it on, or is there going to be lots of trucks around? Or
No.
So
This
you keep the site pretty pristine, and you're just putting these things on there. So 3 weeks later, would you see, oh my gosh, somebody was here and did tons of work, or it would be look?
It's going to be pretty much the way it is. I just, from my perspective, I think the way I would see it is that, there's no work per se happening in the water course. They may be standing in the water in order to drill the existing concrete abutment to put some bolts in it.
But there's no dust, there's no pieces, there's no toxic materials.
No.
When were the abutments put in?
I don't know that.
They're sound?
Yes, they are. They've been there for, you can look at them and tell they've been there quite a while. But as far as the actual date, I don't know that. They're probably original to when the lot was developed.
So is this delegatable, or?
I believe it is.
I think in the.
And Terry, you'll review the engineering plans as much as you think is needed, and we don't need it. We know that we're building something sounder than what's there right now.
That's correct.
So then we need to vote on this if we want
A
to do it.
potential problem.
Yes, I would.
I think we should delegate it.
I would move that we.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, so we'll delegate this.
Thank you.
And you'll have a pre-construction meeting and post.
And Bob lives next door, and he can keep an eye on the whole thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Next item under old business, 33 Woodside Drive, application for reclamation of Disturbed conservation area and installation of solar array panel. Do you want to? Are you?
I think we were at the site, we visited it, we received Bob's comments, and I emailed back to Christine a response. I don't know if you guys, I sent back a response.
Oh, okay. I don't think we got that. So.
Okay, well then here. I've got copies back in the office. Here's the response I sent back to Christine at 3 o'clock. In short, Bob had asked for a number of things, which I said were not an issue we can comply with. The only thing that, in taking his items one by one, the first one he wanted, once the installation is completed, the design engineer shall inspect the stormwater basin and provide written certification to the commission that the basin is still substantial conformance to the record site plan and to his overall design intent. That's not a problem. We'll comply. Item number 2, no change in the capacity of the existing basin is required because of this condition. Our office takes no exception to this. Is recommended at the time of the building permit. The design engineer provide documentation which verifies that the proposed solar array is pervious. And what that means is it's not that it's pervious. I mean, the panels are not, but they're not butted tight together so that you have an 80 by 20 solid film surface. You have gaps of about a ½ inch, or at least mine do, have a gap of about a ½ inch between each panel, so that the water basically, it acts like a paver patio, so to speak, as opposed to a paved driveway.
Plus, it's over the riprap at that point.
And plus, it's over the riprap, so that's not a problem. Westland restoration, item number 3, proposed clearing limits and certain wetland flags be staked out, and if he wants the notes modified, we'll be more than happy to do that. Wetland restoration note number 2 states the following: stake out location of wetlands flags 18 and 18. That's a typo. It should be 18 and 19. And that's on the second page. That's on the first page. There's a no, not that one. There's a on the drawing itself. There's a note.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5. We didn't appear we prepared a plan. In other words, as part of the restoration plan, we said plant 36 plant species. We had received that from our soil scientist. We had Tom Petras go out there on December 26th, and if you want, I'll provide copies of the emails to Christine tomorrow. But we had Tom Petras go out there on the 26th, take a look at this. And his first comment was he had a marked up sketch map, which he sent over, and he had said that originally he wanted 5 red maple trees and 15 native shrubs planted in the restoration area. My client didn't want to plant any more trees, so we changed the 15 shrubs to 36 shrubs. If you notice, the restoration plan calls for 36 shrubs. Subsequently, shrubs could be planted in clumps of 2s and 3s. We would leave portions of the pond hastily open for review by the house. The shrub species selected would depend on whether a deer fence would be installed. Probably it should. I don't think so. And then on the 26th, Tom and I had another discussion, and at that point he sent over the recommended woody plantings, which are included on the plan. So we're not proposing a formal plan, but that was the purpose of the plan that we said. We had the species, and we had what the restoration was. And like I said, I'll provide copies of these also tomorrow to Christine, just for the record. So yes, we do have a biologist involved, and we're following his recommendations.
Mm-hmm. Well, would it make sense?
What's it? No, and that's what I said. That's why we're going from the original intent. Tom's original intent was 5 red maples and 15 shrubs. And when I talked to my client about that, he didn't want to put any more trees in because he felt he didn't cut very many down. So what his comment was, well, I'd rather plant more shrubs. So when I talked to Tom, Tom said that was fine, but boost the number to something on the order of 30 to 35. So we settled on 36 in clumps of 2s and 3s.
Is there any problem though with just on your plan or some plan just showing where those groups of 12 groups of 3 or something like that
will
be
placed? I can do that, but again, Tom felt that just free flow them in and let the place revert.
Well, yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah, I mean,
trees cut down.
Pardon me?
My recollection is that there were trees in that.
Oh, there were a lot of trees.
There were.
So,
we can put. I'll put 5 trees back. It's not a big deal.
Well, my concern is that all these 36 shrubs. If he's worried about, I heard somewhere in there, your client was worried about being able to see the pond.
Tom had mentioned that.
Well, whoever mentioned it, you're better off planting red maples that will grow tall than the shrubs, which are going to grow tall and wide and obscure the pond view. So,
good point.
We have so much experience with this, with these plantings these days, unfortunately.
yeah.
Seymour Road, we have a continuing experience. And there we required a variety of species
And sizes.
and sizes, a very specific planting plan, and multi-year monitoring with reports.
Well, that was item number 6.
Mhm.
And I said, no problem.
My concern is that the soil has been quite disturbed in this portion of the disturbed area that's closer to the house, and those soils are probably just fill and not very nutrient rich and probably won't support wetlands plantings as well as it would be naturally. So
They're not wetlands plantings per se. Don't forget, we're in the buffer area, not in the wetlands.
Okay, but even any plantings, so I'm just wondering if you could augment the soil when you plant.
Well, he's going to have to augment the soil when he plants it, but I think Terry alludes to 220 Seymour Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you go over there, that one's came back, I think, pretty nicely.
Nice, but we had a wide variety of species.
Yes, but that was a disturbed wetland also. That was actually a disturbed wetland as opposed to the upland review area. And the area he basically dealt with was the area between the stone wall and the edge of that graveled area, if you remember correctly. That's the area that got everybody up in arms because that turned into lawn.
Right.
And that's the area we're most concerned about turning back into
So
upland.
I just don't know that those plants that you're proposing on planting will survive very well unless there's soil that will also be adequately nourishing. So I'm just suggesting that maybe you can put some...
Well, there is a note on there about soil's preparation. So he's got to prepare it. I mean, so that we're putting shadbush, serviceberry, silky dogwood, red tree dogwood, winterberry. Most of that stuff will grow in those soils, but they have to be prepped. And there is a note on the drawings to prep them.
Okay. As long as it's...
And is there any barrier along the buffer line?
No, that was not proposed, nor was it asked for. And then there was item number 7, which we're asking for a clarification on, and he talks about increase in impervious areas from the installation of a new patio and concrete walkway, but then he mentions a volume of storage equivalent to 1 inch over the area of the solar array. It's 2 different numbers, 2 different substantial numbers, which I showed you in that email. I think one's 48 cubic feet of storage and one's 178 cubic feet. So I just want a clarification on what he's asking for. And then item number 8 is yes, the construction staging area is going to be reverted to grass when he's done. It's actually reverting to grass now.
So the area that's between the gravel of that patio and the stone wall, is that going to have no more grass there, or is it just going to have grass?
That's correct. It's going to be allowed to revert, but more importantly, about 2 feet of that patio has to come out too.
Okay. Thank you.
That's why Bob had asked that we stake out the line so that everybody sees what you're working to. I think that was item number 3.
I would feel more comfortable just having some sort of plan.
Okay.
Where
we can show where they go.
Just given the history of this site and all.
No problem.
Great.
Plus, it'll give us, especially if we have multi-year monitoring, it'll give us a frame of reference as to where the things were supposed to be. Because nobody will remember 2 years from now where they were. So. Okay.
I can. It's easy enough to do.
Also,
trees versus shrubs.
What's that?
Going back to the trees.
Okay.
Also,
we'll go back to 5 trees and 15 shrubs. That's what was recommended by the scientist originally, by our consultant originally.
Onto the property record deed thing. what I mean?
The easiest way would be if they were granting some kind of conservation restriction on that point. There was never a conservation restriction on any of this property around the pond, correct?
I thought there was.
Was there?
I have to go back and check.
Yeah, I don't have the original file here. I just have.
My point was that perhaps there could be something
I thought there was.
permanently on the record so that should the house ever be sold, the new owners would be aware of the wetland situation.
Well, we can always do placards too. You know, at least have them on the trees.
On the new red maples.
Well, yeah. Well,
And there's also a concern by a neighbor about the size of
yeah, I was gonna get that.
But that's along the driveway.
Yeah, that's along his driveway.
Oh, I see. That's not anywhere near.
That's on the other side of this other stuff.
I thought there was something.
That's a beautiful.
That doesn't bother us.
Yeah, I don't see any formal.
I'm surprised.
I think
Yeah, I
that'd
would
be a
have
good
thought we
idea.
would have. You know.
I have the approval here. So let me take a look at the approval.
Also, John Paul, I think we're going to need an extension because we accepted the application on May 20th. So June, July, and our next meeting is July 29th. So therefore, we'll be beyond the 65 days. So because we're holding the meeting later in July.
So what are we doing? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I have you doing too many things at once. The time on this application started May 20th, and our next meeting is until July 29th. It's going to be later than normal. So therefore, we'll just need an extension in time.
Sure.
So Chris will email you something.
I'll
that you
take
can
care of
sign.
it tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, so we'll check the old file, and if it didn't have any kind of conservation restriction on that area, is the property owner amenable to putting that down, or?
I have no clue. I haven't asked him, but
I mean,
don't know.
we can't prescribe it, but we can suggest it. So
You can suggest it, but
okay, then we will. Why don't in the next between now and the next meeting, you and Bob go over all your
Okay.
little issues you have left. The 5 trees is what we're looking for. We're looking for something that shows where these things are going to be planted or proposed to be planted, so that it can then be verified a year from now
Okay.
that they're still there. What else did we have?
You want any placards? You want any fencing?
It's kind of too tight for fencing there, I think. But what?
I mean, I sort of know what's going to happen.
Well, we do know what's going to happen.
I know. Well, maybe a wall. I mean, what about some kind of the stone wall that's in the further? The stone wall is still there, isn't it?
the stone walls, that's what they use is the clearing limit,
Yeah, I know, and
which is
We should have made a
shown on
move.
the plan is 20 feet the other side.
yeah, we should have moved the stone wall way back then, so that they would have a clearer line of where the clearing
We
limit
learn
is.
from our errors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, now's our chance to fix our errors. So I guess, I'm almost inclined to have them move the wall and relocate the wall to.
Could you ask?
I'd rather put a fence.
No,
Could
okay.
put another stone wall because we really don't want equipment down on that.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
I'd rather put a fence if you're going to do anything.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I was thinking out loud. We do need some kind of demarcation there, though, that will survive. At least a year. Yeah. Talk to the applicant. See what he want to do. We just to mark the line there.
Split rail fence,
Split rail fence, stone wall.
a stone wall.
We've normally done the two most popular things are either some kind of a 2-rail fence or a series of cedar poles with placards on them.
Yeah, so talk to him and we'll entertain either of those.
Okay.
alternatives or some other suggestion that's reasonable.
A knee wall. He seems to be very into masonry.
No.
But then you're getting into footings, and that's more disturbing than.
Yeah. We want something more natural looking to it. I'm sure he would too. So, all right.
Well, certainly, a loose rock wall wouldn't require any footings.
Yeah, it's more just to define the area that's been ignored.
We do have some precedent. There were was a time when we required stone walls.
Right.
I don't think these lots have ever sold, by the way.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I don't think that's the reason.
I don't think so either.
Anyway, all right. Well, come up with something creative, and then we'll deal with this next month. Any other comments or things before John Paul leaves?
Do you want to take any notice of Mr. Brownstein's concern?
Oh, yes. I started talking about that thing. I got distracted. Mr. Brownstein next door has an objection to this. He had an objection before to the solar panels. He's requested a line of trees along his driveway so he doesn't have to see the solar panel. I will give you a copy of his letter. And then,
Just email it.
okay. And then you can discuss it with the property owner and see.
I'll be perfectly upfront with you. Driving in tonight, the driveway, I don't know if anybody took special notice, but I did look at that. And it's pretty, with the trees out now, it's pretty, you don't see the guys on either side for the most part.
Yeah, for this time. I think what he's concerned about is wintertime, looking at the solar panel. And I think he was only talking about that area of his driveway that's near the solar panel area. So talk to the applicant about it and see.
Let me see what he says. Yeah. I make no promises.
I'm not asking you to. All right. Anything else for Mr. Garcia before he leaves? Okay, we'll continue this application. So,
Thanks, John.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me just get organized here. All right. Correspondence. We have no correspondence. Do we have anything that we don't know about, Terry?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that next. Something down here with possible changes. All right. Enforcement officer report. Terry, anything going on that we need to know about? Good. Okay. What was the one thing that we were monitoring? Oh, Pease Road.
Yes, we're still working at that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. There being no other problems, we'll move on. Discussion of commission goals, changes, directions, and possible regulation changes. Sharon worked very hard at something which I will let her discuss, and she's passed out to all of us.
I thought that it might be a handy thing for the present and the future if we had a checklist, because there's so many random different things that we need to think about for any one site. And so I, with the gracious help of the Terry and Christine, have made a list of things that, it's not a hard and fast list, it's just some more things to tweak our memory to make sure that we're not missing something that's significant in any specific application. I thought it also brings more continuity and not, consistency to each application too, if we're sort of setting the same standard. And I'm sure there's many other things. I see here that there's a repetition in one area, but it's done under the application, the plan, other considerations, subdivision and re-subdivision development, which has some specific considerations, wetland remediation in response to an infraction, and other. And I don't know if we should talk about them right now. Maybe we could take a minute and read them and just see if there's anything that we specifically think of that is a real hole in what has been done and not accounted for. And we can add it to it, and then I'm sure Terry would be more than willing to work with it as he already has been doing.
I love the idea, first of all. This is great, I think.
Yeah, I think it.
Yeah, as we're going through an application or the process, a lot of times we're jumping from one thing to another and forget the steps in between.
All
So
right,
this
and
is
Terry
helpful.
and you and everybody seems to catch them all, but it would be
I think this is excellent.
Yeah.
It is.
yeah. So I thought it would be a useful thing, but I think we should take it home and maybe add to it.
One of the things, since this is so thorough, would be perhaps adding a thing about a consideration for pervious surfaces versus the non-pervious that's been added to the properties.
Oh, that's a good.
Be it a driveway, be it a...
Well, she does
Patio.
have how much new impervious surface will be created.
But a whole discussion
And
about that, I think,
alternatives
is
and alternatives to
Yeah.
you know,
Alternatives.
that. Yeah.
so. Yeah, somebody and alternatives. And I also thought, in the same vein, impervious surfaces, the clearing limit, and in some ways relating that to the amount of runoff consideration that's being done. And I know in big developments we do that a lot, but in smaller properties we might be more attentive to the amount of impervious surface relative to the amount of runoff that we're being attentive to, even if we don't have someone like Bob to give us the actual numbers. Terry, do you see, I know you gave me some ideas before, but is there anything else that you're seeing that would be useful?
I think it should be a dynamic document. I think it should be something that perhaps you want us to distribute with each of your packages every month. That if you want to change it and as our interests come to light, we'll put another checklist on it. There's no reason to have it, anything but a living document.
Yeah.
But instead of maybe all of us getting it every month, maybe Bob could get it with new applications, so that it could be something that we have to refer to. Would that be useful? Do you
Well,
think?
it'd probably be better for everybody to get it
Okay, yeah.
in their package,
Oh, all right.
because it'll
Is
trigger
it-
the analysis that you need to go through. Then we have specific situations that recur, like pond dredging, sloggings, that kind of thing, where we so often hit the same issues, but we don't always remember all the issues.
And that might be good
Bonding,
when one comes up, like a palm dredging. It gives us the time to think about it, and then we might add to the.
Well, and it gives you the framework for the decision. Okay, this doesn't apply. This does. This does. This does. So it sort of frames your thought process when you're looking at the thing. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea.
What about distributing, I don't know what the right word is, along with an application?
We'd be happy to do that too.
So that somebody submitting an application
Yeah.
could review this stuff,
I
knowing that we're going to potentially ask these questions.
I distribute a checklist for building projects, by the way, on the things that I'm going to be looking at the final inspection. And I said, here, and I frequently say to people, here's the quiz, here are the answers to the test.
I think it could overwhelm somebody who's just getting a little 2-foot addition. Like they have to be thinking of the what. But certainly anyone like Jean-Paul or anybody who's a civil engineer, it might be good for them to know that this is what we're thinking of. I mean, it might be good for everybody, but I can imagine the person that's just doing a little something could.
But if
Or maybe not pose it as a checklist for them, but here are a list of things to think about, and it'll apply depending on what they're working on.
Yeah, that might be.
And I don't mind if we see a more deliberate mindfulness on the applicant's part. It's okay.
Yeah,
This can be updated online, probably.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of these applications. I guess most of them, they're all hard copies, right? Now, at least now.
One of our long-term goals is to get our application forms online. They are not presently online. And we do have a long-term goal as to it's been frustrating so far that we haven't done that yet. Mostly because I think we need a new application form. We're using the same application form that we have forever.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a project we should take on for this next year.
Yeah, you know what? We end up with Quinnipiac students that intern at our office, and I always look for things for them to do, and then maybe what I should have them do next fall when they start again is like pull the applications for a variety of towns and see what they look like. Especially if there's like a fillable application that you could do a PDF fillable, and we could sort of lift it from somebody else's application and go from there. So, yeah.
That's a good idea.
So we'll put that on the list of things for me to take care of in the fall. So.
Okay.
Because Chris and you sometimes have a limited time.
We've
Running around.
been trying to do this, and,
Yeah,
and
but-
we haven't achieved it yet. So.
Yeah, but you service 3 or 4 different agencies, so therefore it's
Right.
it's hard. No, but this is a very good start. Thank you. No, everybody could come back next month with some comments and some additions and some, reordering or whatever you think is necessary. So.
Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Excellent.
And I may not be officially here next year, but I'd like to be put on the agenda to further discuss this next month.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Anything else that, before we get to the minutes, that we want to discuss under the topic of goals, changes, direction, etc.?
We just covered that pretty well.
Yeah, well, Sharon did her thing this month, so that's good. All right, site visits. We have the Jeremy Garden Lane. We have, I think Beecher Road for the pond dredging. If people are interested, they could just drive over there and take a look over the driveway, edge of the
Yeah,
driveway.
it's pretty simple to see.
Yeah. Then we've done it before, so it's and as long as they're not changing the footprint of the pond, I don't see any real problem with what they're requesting. Now we have Amity Road, which is a little bit. I don't know. What do you think on that, Terry? Do you think it's just
Talking about
something?
Amity or Woodside? You're talking about Woodside. No, excuse me.
Amity Road, but that's when John Paul's going to give us the overlay as far as the changes go,
It's
right?
Diana Drive.
Oh, that's Diana Drive. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Right.
Well, I don't know. What do you think about? What does everybody think about Amity Road? You want to go back out there or not bother? No. Okay. All right. So basically, I guess we only have Jeremy Garden.
You can do that before the meeting.
Yeah, but we have our dinner too, so we got to start a
Yeah,
little bit
right,
earlier.
yeah.
So I'm still in favor of doing it before the meeting, but we probably have to go at about 6 if people can. I don't know. What do you think? Is that too early for
It's
everybody?
okay by me.
That works.
Is that okay? Is that okay?
Fine with me.
Well, we have to just assume you'll be there. So, is that okay with you, Barry? And then we'll just meet for the dinner after that. If
At
that's okay,
6:30?
so, yeah. That'll still give us an hour or so.
Okay.
All right, then we'll plan on site visit on Jeremy Garden, 6 o'clock, and that shouldn't take long. And we might as well just meet at the site and then come over to Town Hall.
And that meeting date is the 20.
29th. Okay. Oh, and I don't know, on Rimmon Road, did you guys need the site visit on that, or?
No, we delegated that because it's imminent.
It's above, it's
It
imminent?
goes over,
Oh,
and it's also very dangerous, and we don't want an oil truck going into
oh, into the.
And also, they're not really going into the wetlands.
That's
except
true.
for standing
Okay.
in the
Okay,
wetlands.
good.
They're not
Okay.
disturbing wetlands.
All right.
And we knew you could keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we'll drive by. Okay, 6-1. So that was approved,
It'll be done
Yes.
one after.
delegated
Oh,
to,
really? That fast? Oh, great.
With the usual.
okay.
Drilling from the top.
Okay, good.
Also,
All right.
close the meeting.
No, we have minutes first, hold on. We have the minutes from last month, which I looked at. And
I didn't have
I
any.
didn't see it.
yeah, I made one correction earlier before they were distributed, so.
I would move to approve.
Okay, David moves to approve.
I'll second that.
Jack second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, okay. 5-0 approved.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
I seconded it.
And Jack seconded, and David moved. And site inspection minutes of from today, I think that's a little early. Okay, I'll give those to Chris to do for next month. Do we have anything else? No? Everybody all set?
I
Okay.
move to close the meeting.
Sharon moved to adjourn the meeting, close the meeting. David seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions. We're done, thank you. And good night.